Exam ready. Achieve top grades. Quadratics Part 1 from Basics to Grade 9. In Part 1, we'll be looking at concepts and skills. This is about factorizing, quadratic formula, completing the square, and turning points. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to factorize quadratic expressions, including when the coefficient of x squared is greater than 1. You will also be able to solve quadratic equations by factorizing and by using the quadratic formula. You'll also be able to complete the square. That means rewriting a quadratic in completed square form, a within brackets x plus p squared plus q. And also you'll be able to find turning points by using completed square form to state the coordinates and the nature of a turning point. Finally, you'll be able to select methods, that is to choose the most efficient method for a given quadratic to justify the choice of using a particular method. So let's look at the first question. Okay, the examiner's tip over here for factorizing quadratics is always check by expanding your brackets back out. It takes 10 seconds and catches sign errors. So here we go with the first factorization. It says factorize x squared plus 2x minus 15. Now, when we are looking at the quadratic, so we look at the last part, which is minus 15. Before we look at the minus, let's split 15 into its factors. So we got 15 over here, and the factors are as follows. 1 and 15, you got 3 and 5. Now, then because it's a negative, so to get a negative 15, it's either plus 15, plus 1 times negative 15, or negative 1 times plus 15. And for 3 and 5, likewise, we're going to have plus 3 take away 5, and negative 3 plus 5. Now, when we're going to combine the factors, that means we are just going to follow what the sign tells us. For plus 1 and minus 15, what you're going to get is negative 14. For that one is going to be plus 14. We're going to get negative 2 here, and then plus 2. Now, then we move on to the next, the coefficient of x this time. And when looking at coefficient of x, we see that there is plus 2. So our candidate factors are therefore negative 3 and plus 5. So the way we're going to expand this 15 is using negative 3 and plus 5. Therefore, the factorization goes like this. And inside the brackets, you're going to get x in both brackets, and then we just have to copy negative 3 and then plus 5. So this is our solution for 2 marks. Now, the next question is slightly different because, as you can see here, the coefficient in the first example is just 1. Now, the coefficient of x squared in the second example is 3. So we're going to be using what we call the AC method. Now, in the AC method, you need to know what A represents. So we got ax squared plus bx plus c. So you can see that A equals to 3, B equals to 5, and C equals to negative 2. So the AC method requires you to multiply A and C together. So you're going to get 3 times negative 2, which gives you negative 6. So let's look at the factors of 6 first. So for 6 is 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Now, because it's negative 6, so to get negative 6, you can either have plus 1 negative 6, or negative 1 plus 6, plus 1 negative 3, and negative 2 plus 3. What we're going to do next is combine the factors. So plus 1 and negative 6 will combine to negative 5. The next one is positive 5. Then you're going to get negative 1 and then positive 1. Now, if we look at the coefficient of x in the exact question, you're going to see it is plus 5. So plus 5 tells us that we're going to use negative 1 and plus 6. So we're going to write x minus 1, x plus 6. Now, this is the stage where we need to be really careful. We're going to make use of that coefficient of x squared now. So 3. So what we're going to do now is we're going to divide the 1 by 3, the 6 by 3. So I repeat, so we are now using the 3 and divide both the 1 and the 6 by 3. So here and here. Now, we will be able to simplify either one of them or two of them. So what do I mean by this is in that case, in the first case here, you can't simplify. But if you have 6 over 3, that means this is 2 and this is cancelled out, 1. 6 over 3 is 2 over 1. Now, the ones that we have not been able to do anything with, so we're going to multiply across. So what does that mean? So we're going to get 3 here, and with the rest, we're going to just, so 3 times x is 3x, and then you get minus 1, and the rest stay put, so x plus 2. So this is the solution for the factorization of a quadratic with a coefficient other than 1 in front of x squared. So I hope you understood this method, and now we are going to practice. We are going to see how to do the next part of the question, and there you go. So let's see if you can work it out. And the answers are going to be on the next slide, so you can pause the video here, and we're going to check your work after that. So see you on the next slide. So this is where you can check your work, and everything has been explained in detail, right? Right, so you can pause the video again, and so go through your work and see if you have done enough here. Concept number 2, the quadratic formula. Now, the formula is something you need to remember. It is x equals minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2 times a. Now, so before we answer that question, it is important for us to have this written out like that: ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. It's easy then to make our comparisons. So we know that a equals 1. Then we have b equals to 4, and c equals to negative 1. Now let's rewrite our formula. The more you write it, the more you're going to remember. So it's going to be minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2 times a. Now, also important is whenever you do substitutions, use brackets. And you're going to find it really very useful, particularly when you want to avoid mistakes with signs, okay, negative signs. Now, we know that b is 4, so b is 4. So a equals to 1 and c is equal to negative 1. And let's continue here. So we're simplifying the expression. So minus 4 plus or minus square root of 16. So here we go. Square root of 16 plus 4. I hope you have noticed it's minus times minus, and this is 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay, so x becomes minus 4 plus or minus square root of 16 plus 4, that's 20 over 2. And now you're going to have two possible values here. So the first one is going to be, if you use your calculator, you're going to work out that's going to be 0.24, and the other one is going to be negative 4.24 using your calculator, of course. And both answers are to 2 decimal places as required. So these are the two answers for question number 1. Okay, so now we're going to move on to question 2. If you remember, we are going to use the same equation, ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Okay, and a, if you can see, a is 2, b is 3, c is negative 4. And when applying the formula, so minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a, and equal sign, so minus b is 3 plus or minus square root of 3 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, and c is negative 4, everything divided by 2 times 2, and that gives us negative 3 plus or minus square root of 9 plus, okay, 32 over 2 over 4. Okay, so yeah, that's right. Okay, so x equals to negative 3 plus or minus square root of 41 over 4. And we got two possible values here. So using your calculator, you should be able to get 0.85 and negative 2.35. So these are the two solutions, and this is two decimal places. Okay, so have a good look at how this has been done, and we are now going to get some practice questions on the right hand side for you to do. You can pause the video here and do your practice questions in the same way as I've shown you. And then you got a challenging question number 3. And let's see how you go on this. And I'll see you on the next slide. So now you are on the answer slide for concept number 2. So let us see if you got that right. Or you can pause the video again to see how you've done. And yeah, all the answers are there. I'll see you on the next slide now. Okay, here we have concept number 3, which is completing the square method. Now, in the completing the square, so the examiner's tip, it says when a is not equal to 1. Okay, so this is what we mean. So coefficient of a is coefficient of x squared is not 1. So you can see here in the first example, so we do not have any other number, but it is just an invisible 1. Now I'll show you a method over here, and this is called the HMS method, right? So HMS, what does that mean? So H means you're going to do, the first thing is you're going to halve a number. So you're going to find half the number, then you're going to say minus, you're going to take away, and then you're going to square. So half minus square. So 3 things you're going to do. Okay, now as you can see, we got, so let me write x squared plus 6x plus 1. Now halving is the first thing we're going to do. So we are going to write an equal sign here. All right, so this is okay. Of course you're going to square. You're going to have a x bracket squared. So what you're going to do is just going to drop the x over here, and of course that 2 goes there, the squaring goes there. Now half, so what are we halving? We're actually halving the plus 6, and that drops down as plus 3. We halve this, so this is the halving bit. Now, and then we're going to do the minus, so minus, remember minus, and then that number is going to be squared over here, so we're going to do the squared. That number that we have right on the right hand side, so we're going to park it over here. So parking it means just putting it aside for later use. It's only an observer. It's not doing anything. All the action is taking place in the blue part of that equation. So let's continue then. So we're going to have x plus 3 squared minus 9 plus 1. And now time to combine these two. Okay, and then you're going to add x plus 3 squared on the right hand side, and then that's minus 8. And this is the answer. This is how you express a quadratic expression in that form. And this is for 2 marks. Now for the next one, we're going to get, it's not going to be a 1 in front of x squared. It's going to be a number other than 1. So how are we going to deal with this? So let's get started then. We are going to start with 2x squared plus 8x minus 3. So let's factorize this part. So factorising means just get that number out so that we now only have to work with x squared plus 4x. And remember what we did with that minus 3. We just like above, we're going to park it on the right hand side. And now we got an expression that hasn't got a number in front of x squared inside the square bracket. So the square bracket is quite handy because it tells us the order of the operation when we have circular brackets later. Okay, so let's continue. Now this in the square bracket or rectangular bracket, it's just as above. So we're going to apply HMS principle. So how does that work? Okay, so we're going to drop our x, okay, and that one is halved, so it's going to become plus 2. And then we're going to get our square over here. And remember, so halving, and then taking the minus here, and then squaring this number, which is 2 squared. Okay, let's go with the next level. So 2, and then inside the square bracket, what you see is x plus 2 squared, take away 4, and then take away 3. Okay, now, so what happens next is, so we're going to show equal sign. Okay, 2. Now that 2 is important here for us to multiply in over there. So 2 bracket x plus 2 squared minus 8, and then you have minus 3. Okay, so now these two will combine together, and that gives us 2 times x plus 2 squared minus 11, and that's our completed square form. Okay, so over to you now to do the next part of your practice questions. Okay, and you got 4 questions to answer. You can pause the video here, and I'll see you on the next slide. So here are the answers, and quite similar to what we've done before. And yeah, hope you've done well on this one. So let's move on to the next concept. Concept number 4, finding turning points. Examiner's tip. The sign in the bracket flips. So x plus 3 squared gives you x minus 3 and not x equals to 3. This is the most common grade 8 to 9 slip. Now let's then go and practice some questions. Let me do a demonstration for you first. So find the turning point of y is equal to x squared plus 6x plus 1. Now for this you're going to complete the square. I think you remember the technique now. So completing the square. So let's see what happens here. So y is equal to x squared plus 6x plus 1. Okay, so we are going to now drop that x here. So that one becomes half, so that becomes 3. So bracket squared. Now remember, you're going to have minus. Remember HMS, half minus and square. So now we're going to square this one. So squared plus 1. And then you're going to get x plus 3 squared minus 9 plus 1, and then x plus 3 squared minus 8. So far, so good. And now we're going to write it in a form. Well, it's already written in the form, but just need comparing with. So you're going to compare that with x minus p squared plus q. So let me put the y here as well, so you can see how we're going to compare like with like. So you can see the minus 3 is equal to, plus 3 is equal to minus p. So minus p is equal to 3, and minus 8 equals to q, or plus q equals to minus 8. So that makes p minus 3, and q is still minus 8. So the turning point is actually pq. So therefore, it is going to be minus 3 minus 8. So that's our turning point. What does that mean, turning point? And turning point, as you can see, the graph is a quadratic graph. So that turning point that we've just worked out is this particular point at the bottom of this U-shaped graph, U-shaped curve. Okay, so remember, we always have to use this expression. So y equals to x minus p squared plus q for the turning point PQ. Okay, this is what we mean by invert the sign or flipping the sign. Okay, so now we're going to practice with the second one. Now, as you can see in the second case, it's already in completed square form. Okay, so hopefully you can recognize. Okay, so the bracket with the power of 2 here and the number which is attached to it to make it a complete square. So it's already in completed square form. Now, if you here, you're going to compare this with, now I'm going to attach a number here, a. That a doesn't really matter, okay? It's just a scaling factor. So x minus p squared plus q. Okay, so you can see minus p equals to minus 1, therefore p is 1, and q equals to 5. So our turning point is simply 1, 5. Okay, and hope you understand you understood the difference between these two types of questions, and here's your opportunity to do some practice questions. Okay, you can pause here, and I'll see you shortly. Okay, I've explained the same principles over here, and yeah, hopefully you have picked up some ideas. Now, okay, so we can sum up what you've learned in those four concepts. So choosing the most efficient method for working with quadratic. So we've seen that first of all, we can factorize quadratic, and the tip here is the integers. In this case, so integers over here, those numbers are easy to work with, so you can easily find the factors of 12. So integer factors of 12 sum to 7, so that's your product and that's your sum, and you should be able to work it out quickly. So if you want to factorize, of course. Then the next one is about using the quadratic formula, and because here you cannot see any neat integer factor, which means you do not have whole numbers as factors. The third technique you've learned is about completing the square, and this gives us the turning point of a curve, and this is how you find the turning point. And the difference of two squares is about recognizing we have when you have a squared minus b squared, and this is a plus b, a minus b. Okay, key takeaways from quadratic part 1, concepts and skills. Factorize first when A and C have neat integer factor pairs. Quadratic formula always works when, well, that's when factorization does work, and it works for any quadratic expression. Completing the square reveals the turning points directly, and match the method to what the question is asking for. It's not just a habit. You need to be able to do that while you look at the question in front of you. So coming up in part 2, exam style practice, original Excel style questions including disguised quadratics and multi-step method selection. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, share and comment. Your feedback will help me create more videos like this. Okay, so until next time, so look on the next slide, next page, you will be able to see the upcoming videos as well, and I'll see you soon.